Hey guys, welcome to the first ever Colossus review. This is where I spend an hour talking about one subject. It's going to be Batman vs Superman. This will either be divided into 3 videos or will be one hour long video. So let's begin. So, Batman vs Superman. It's the sequel to Man of Steel. I relatively enjoyed Man of Steel. I thought it was an interesting way to take the character, and I thought it could be improved upon. Although I enjoyed it, I was like, it's brilliant, but it could use a little bit of narrative tweaking. Well, with Man of Steel, the ending was very controversial due to the fact that General Zod kind of was killed by Superman. Well, I'm happy to say that Batman vs Superman goes straight after the events of Man of Steel. It shows how it affected Superman and how he is trying to make up for his sins. This movie is great, although it has met quite a fair bit of criticism in recent times. I thought the best bit of the movie was Ben Affleck as Batman, because it is the first ever comic book accurate Batman. I say this because he truly felt like a man who had lost everything he cared about and was he chose to end crime. He truly felt like that, and he looked like an experienced Batman. He felt like he was the Dark Knight Returns Batman. Why that is a good thing is because this movie was heavily inspired by the Dark Knight Returns book by Frank Miller. Anyway, I thought Ben Affleck's Batman was the best part, as I've just said. And as this is a spoiler video, I'm allowed to say this. I definitely think the scene where he went up against a room of armed thugs was amazing, because it truly shows you what Batman can do in the right hands. So, this movie was overall very well made, although, again, as I keep saying, it met with a lot of negative reviews, which I don't understand, as it was a very high quality film. Like, if a movie's bad, I will say it is bad. I'm not someone who's like, oh, every movie is good. For example, this piece of rubbish, I watched it and was horrified. But that's not important for this review. Anyway, so the 3 sections I plan to do this review in, sorry, just getting a bit sidetracked so you guys know what is going to happen. As I've just said, colossal review. This means I'm going to do my normal review, then I'm going to talk about full on what the ending of the movie did, and then I'm going to talk about the future of the DC cinematic universe. So now getting back on track, this movie was unique because this is the first time I've ever seen Batman and Superman on the screen at the same time. And as a fan of these characters, I was very amazed to see it, because this movie was announced 3 years ago, yeah? And everyone was like, oh, this is gonna be terrible, because there were loads of problems in the production of this movie. However, I feel, unlike most critics, that it was a very high quality film, and that it fixed my few problems with Man of Steel. However, this movie is not flawless, because it tries to adapt 2 contradicting storylines in the comics. And now, as I've said, this is a spoiler, so turn off the video now. I'm just repeating this so no one gets angry at me in the comments. The two stories it adapts, as I've already said, I've said one of them, are Frank Miller's Dark Knight Returns and The Death of Superman, which is very important for the end of the film, because that's all I'm going to say. But there were some very clever references to the DC universe thrown in. For example, the thing they buried him in was black, and it had a silver Superman logo, which represents the black and silver costume he wore in Superman Lives, which is the sequel to the story. Other references were Batman was holding a sniper rifle on top of a tower, like he did in The Dark Knight Returns, and little small nuances like that. However, there were other references to other storylines. For example, where you see the Robin suit and it says "Ha ha ha, the joke's on you, Batman." That is a reference to Death in the Family, where Jason Todd famously died. Perhaps we may be seeing... Actually, no, I'm going to save what I'm about to say till when we get into the story, till when we get into my thoughts on the future. Anyway, so they're not very... This movie, my main problem with this movie, it was good, but it didn't adapt the storylines properly, as it wasn't particularly... It was very pick and choosy, let me just say. It wasn't particularly very well structured film. I enjoyed it, but the first part was very interesting, because it was a very political drama. It was like, wow, he's finally going to own up for what he did that was wrong. And I was like, okay, this is good, DC. You're differentiating yourself from Marvel. You're doing something unique. And then, with Grandma's Peach Tea, the whole movie just went downhill. Hashtag write in the comments if you understand that joke. And then it just became a very quick-paced... They tried to get as much action in as they could. I felt that Zack Snyder just was like, okay, I'm doing something well here, now I've got to make this movie Snyderfied. Which is when everything becomes all dark and gritty, and there is a unneeded use of slow motion and violence. Now I understand the movie's called Batman vs Superman, and we were expecting Batman vs Superman, and that was the fight scene that really justified the movie. However, it's not very long. It's about 8 minutes out of a 2.5 hour and 1 minute film. It is 8 minutes long. That means that there was... Now I'm going to have to try and do some maths here. 31 minus 8. 13. 8. 30. Oh, it doesn't matter. But there was a big chunk of the movie that had nothing to do with the overall fight that everyone was looking for. And I know there is such a thing called a plot, but this movie's plot is all over the place. As I already said, it started as a political crime drama, and then it just went into... I don't even know. It was good. I love the film, but it feels like two different films have been imposed together with Snyderness. Like, this is, let's just say, metaphorically, my hand here is a interesting crime courtroom drama similar to Daredevil Series 2. Well, parts of Daredevil Series 2. And this is an action-packed movie without much of a plot. This is what happened in the making of this film. They are locked together, and it's become a mess of a movie. I'm not saying it's bad, and I'm not saying I hated it. In fact, I came out of the cinema smiling so greatly that I was amazed, because I thought I was going to hate it. I loved it, but I am going to have to pick out flaws. It's amazing, as I keep saying, just to see these characters on screen, but some of the stuff just felt shoehorned in. Like, for example, where we have Gal Gadot, I believe it's pronounced. I'm probably butchering that name. But Bruce Wayne sent her an email with a photo of Wonder Woman, and he goes, "Oh, look at these files." And then it's like Flash, Cyborg, Aquaman. I'm like, a lot of cameos put into one scene. Like, it feels unnecessary to put all these cameos straight into one scene, because at least Marvel with their cameos, I'm going to say this, are clever. This just felt kind of forced, because we're like, oh, you know all these other characters we have? Let's get them introduced so we can make as much money as possible without caring about this film. They want to set everything up for Justice League, because DC are trying to copy Marvel's method of, we start with one hero, then we build it up, then we build it up, then we build it up. Like, it took us, I believe, a solid... Wait, 1 second. It took us 5 movies to get to the Avengers. It took us 5 movies. They're doing the Justice League as the third. As the third. I don't know what to say to that, because I like the Justice League. In fact, in the area where I read comics, I have a canvas of the Justice League. But I don't think 3 movies is enough time to set it all up. It's all gonna end up in hell, because it's just gonna keep doing this. Isn't it? Because I'm not saying it's a bad movie, but I'm just saying we're getting too caught up with making sequels. This is what happened with The Amazing Spider-Man 2. It's all happening again. Spider-Man 3 and The Amazing Spider-Man 2 had a child. It's Batman vs Superman, because it feels like they shoehorned in a villain that we're going to come to later, but then it also feels overcrowded and more like forced to make sequels, like Amazing Spider-Man 2. It's just, I don't know what went wrong. I love the film, but the more I think about it, the narrative, the more, I don't want to say sad, but the more negative my outlook on this film goes. And I came in to this film with low hopes, but I felt this film was good. But then, thinking about it, that one scene, they could have done something so much more clever. I don't know. Have the Flash save an old lady in the fight. I don't know. Have Aquaman bring the spear with the kryptonite. I don't know. Have Cyborg do whatever Cyborg does. I'm not a big fan of the character. I'm sorry, I'm getting off on a rant here, but that one scene, although I enjoyed it and was geeking out because the Flash is my favourite DC character, I was geeking out to see him on the big screen, because although we have a TV show, I've always wanted to see a Flash movie, and since I know that's in the works, and since I saw the Flash in Batman vs Superman, I thought, okay, so when I was looking at it, I was completely geeking out, and I was like, this looks good, but then, the more I think about it, that's the laziest plot device I've seen in a superhero movie. I like the movie, as I keep saying, but that one plot device. So yeah, it's just, what went wrong? You could have had something really special happen. Because we're getting the Justice League, we could have had, just hear me out, DC. I know you're probably not going to do this now, but you should have done it like this. We could have had Man of Steel, then a solo Batman movie, then a Batman vs Superman, and then Wonder Woman, and then the Flash, and then have Cyborg be introduced as the new character in Justice League, sort of how his origin was told in the New 52 Volume 1, Justice League Origin. I just think that would have been such a better solution to this problem than just shoehorn in all these cameos of all these heroes and expect the audience to appreciate each character and come to terms with them, considering there's about 50 seconds of Aquaman. 50 seconds. Sorry about that. Sorry about all the noise downstairs. Yeah, but 50 seconds of Aquaman. We got all those brilliant photos and, what do you call them, advertising ploys, and between posters and Unite the Seven, and I was like, wow, this is going to be great. 50 seconds! Just hold off, DC. You could have just held off. Held off one more movie. I don't even care. You could have moved Aquaman straight after straight after a solo Batman movie, and everyone would have been happy because we would have got some closure, a way to know the characters. I mean, if you're going to copy Marvel's method, at least do it properly. Don't just throw every character in for 52 seconds. Also, comic book reference if you understand 52. That was a little joke about DC, but that might be wrong to have said that. But 52 seconds. It was it was just a bit rushed. I thought it wasn't particularly that needed because, as I've said, I'm a huge Flash fan. But just try and set up everything. Yeah. I know I'm going on a massive rant talking about this, but it's a problem I have with the movie, and my job is to talk about movies and things I found good and things I found bad. It's just, oh god, this is going to be my longest review, and it's just going to be me rattling on about a filing system. Anyway, getting back on track. The main villain of this movie, I'm sorry about that massive rant that went on for about 5 minutes. I just had so much anger built up in me about that scene. Anyway, the main movie's villain was Lex Luthor, played by Columbus from Zombieland. And when he was cast, I thought that might work. That might be a interesting casting choice, due to the fact that it would play with people's expectations, because Lex Luthor is always considered the cliche Superman villain, and I thought, oh, we're going to get someone a lot younger, and someone a lot more energetic to play Lex Luthor, and I was like, that could work, that could be this movie's saving grace. And I know most people didn't think that, but I love Zombieland, and I was like, wow, we're getting him to come and Lex Luthor the place up. I know that doesn't make sense, but that's not what we got. We got Lex Luthor with his... he sounded more like the Riddler with his little mannerisms, and he was like, but he sounds a bit like me when I stutter, but you can't really see that because I mainly edit it out. But yeah, he looks like more like that than Lex Luthor, because Lex Luthor's meant to be threatening. He's meant to represent political power. He's meant to represent what businesses can do to negative people, what the power of, like, money can corrupt people. That's what Lex Luthor's meant to represent. But we just had Jesse Eisenberg going, the red capes are coming, the red capes are coming. Sorry, that got a little bit out of control, but that, especially when, okay, this review will continue in part 2 because I am going to have a break just to calm down after how angry I have gotten. So the Colossus review will continue. The first part of it has been completed, so we have about roughly half to go. Part 2 coming soon. Keep tuned and subscribe. See you later.